This psalm is a heartfelt plea to the Lord for protection and justice. The speaker finds themselves in a situation where they are surrounded by adversaries who are unjustly striving against them. The psalm begins with a direct appeal to God, asking Him to take up their cause against those who are hostile. The request is for God to engage in battle, metaphorically, using shield and spear to defend and protect the speaker from their oppressors, underscoring the urgency and desperation of their plight. The psalmist asks the Lord to assure them of His salvation, seeking comfort in the belief that God is on their side. They call on God to bring confusion and shame upon their enemies, turning their malicious plans back onto themselves. The imagery used is vivid, as the psalmist compares their enemies to chaff before the wind, suggesting that they should be easily scattered and overcome by God's power. The path of the wicked is also described as dark and slippery, emphasizing the idea that they will struggle and ultimately fall due to their own treachery. The plea continues with a recitation of the unjust actions taken against them without cause, including being ensnared by traps and deceit. The psalmist seeks divine retribution, hoping that those who have laid traps will fall into their own devices. There is an expectation that the ultimate downfall of these adversaries will result in the speaker's rejoicing and deep gratitude towards the Lord, who delivers and saves them. A profound moment of reflection is introduced as the psalmist acknowledges their innocence and the false accusations levied against them. Despite their goodwill and kindness towards others, they have been met with betrayal and cruelty. The contrast is stark, highlighting the psalmist's moral stance of humility and compassion, even dressing in sackcloth and fasting in empathy for their adversaries' suffering. Yet when the roles were reversed, the psalmist finds themselves abandoned and mocked by those they once considered friends. The psalm reflects a deep sense of isolation, as the psalmist portrays the betrayal by former companions who now mock them with malicious feasting and gnashing of teeth. There is a feeling of being overwhelmed by a collective of enemies, described as hypocrites, joining in scorn, heightening the psalmist's emotional distress and their plea for divine intervention. In seeking intervention, the psalmist asks for God to observe, testify, and act swiftly to deliver them from these insidious plots. The call is made for God not to remain silent, to awaken to their cause, and to judge the situation according to His righteousness. The psalmist desires that those who wrongly take pleasure in their misfortune be met with shame and confusion, while those who support the psalmist's righteous cause find joy and encouragement. The psalm ends on an uplifting note, expressing a commitment to continually praise and speak of God's righteousness. The speaker vows to thank God publicly, serving as a testament to the divine justice and protection granted by God. The psalm beautifully captures the tension between suffering and faith, illustrating the earnest belief in divine justice and the hope that the Lord takes delight in the prosperity and vindication of His servants.